Yeah, so Jenny has started working on this project about 2 months ago, and it's a follow-up on work that Sithala and I did, looking at 5 cases on colder outbreaks, and really only 3 that had precipitation in them, and made some learned some things from it. So go to the next slide. Yeah, so this kind of mostly and a little ice at the beginning, evolving to more ice with rain coming out of the bottom, with time rising melting level, with cloud top temperature staying about the same. Go to the next slide. And of this, there was of 6 secondary ice production processes. So there was a fair amount of ice production. These were the 2 mechanisms that seemed most consistent with the 2DS imagery and the temperature ranges and droplet sizes. So the Hallett-Mossop mechanism, we were usually flying in this temperature range between -3 and -8. But it was also kind of interesting that it wasn't always there in all 3 of the flights with the precip. And then the other one was at colder temperatures to have kind of snowflake production and what looks like it could be fragmentation from ice-ice collisions. Of course, this could be liquid as well. Next slide. The profiles seem to suggest that there were these 2 preferred regions for ice production, one near the cloud top and another near the base. Next slide. Okay, but I guess I did have this nagging feeling like, well, does this ice really matter for developing the precipitation? Or is it really more that the liquid water path, you just need a lot of liquid water path, and then nature is just going to find a way to rain and produce cold pools and break up the clouds. Next slide. So, Sithala moved on to work at NASA Langley, and Jenny Lorenzo, who some of you may know from Campex, so a student of Armin's and ready to do a postdoc. So really absolutely thrilled that she is able to work on Activate data. And with her, we are now undertaking a more statistical analysis of about 65 colder outbreak flights, and trying to be more statistical. So that previous paper, the reviewers did comment that they thought we were kind of maybe overinterpreting some of the data. A fair comment. So yeah, leading question is, can we say something about how the secondary ice production processes, and also I was also curious whether we can say anything about the distribution of the ice versus liquid precipitation, if there really is this evolution from snow to liquid with time, and trying to maybe add an in situ perspective to this analysis that several people have done based on CloudSet and Calypso data on mixed phase rain and mixed phase clouds. So next slide. And here, okay, here I'll turn it over to Jenny. Oh, you could still, wait, who is sharing this? Jenny, those were your slides, right?
Yeah, I was sharing. I just needed to turn on my mic, sorry.
Oh, okay, okay. I can't see the slides anymore.
All right. Yeah, slides are back.
Okay, so I'm just going to share some of the sort of work we've done in terms of looking at the 65 strong cold air outbreaks during the winters. So yeah, we looked at the classifications that Simon used to determine the mixed phase in clouds, the in cloud mixed phase, the mixed phase clouds, and we divided the types of cloud phases based on the work of Korolev and Milbrandt, which Ewan also showed a while ago, where if the ice mass fraction is less than 0.1, then that's called a liquid phase cloud. And then if it's between 0.1 and 0.9, it's mixed phase. We note that for this case, we only used the liquid water content for FCDP, where in reality, there's also liquid water content for the 2DS, but we haven't gone out to sort of stitch that together yet. So yes. So this is the plot on the lower right that we come up in terms of all the mixed phase clouds that we see. All the clouds that we see during this, for the cases that we showed for the 63 flights. So the black line denotes the number of in-cloud samples per 2-degree temperature bins, and the colors represent the contribution per cloud phase. So we see that for this specific, for Activate, when we compare it to the data from the Southern Ocean on the left, which was field campaign Socrates, our temperature ranges towards the warmer areas, but in the range where they're similar, denoted by the maroon box, it looks like in Activate, it's more liquid than it is ice, where in the Southern Ocean, there's a lot of ice, even in the temperature, in our similar temperature ranges. We also noticed that the mixed phase has a similar sort of contribution, around less than 20% of the time. And that in our specific case, we noticed that there seems to be like a peak distribution of mixed phase clouds around -15 and around -5 degrees centigrade, and which we're trying to still understand more. Based on the data from the work of Sitala and Paquita and others, it seems to see it's possible that the level, like the cloud levels, may be playing a role in terms of the distribution of the ice mixed phases, because we have data from below cloud top and above cloud base, and the colder temperatures may be corresponding to the mixed phase clouds in below cloud top or at higher elevations. So spatially, how are the mixed clouds distributed during Activate? So we have a picture or a map of the mixed phase clouds. So these are the data with ice mass fraction just between 0.1 and 0.9. And the colors are showing the fraction of the data that are mixed phase. So the yellow ones, where like there's a lot of mixed phase ones, are occurring more or less farther away from the shore and in the northern portion of the Activate area where the cloud tops are colder. So if we look at the actual, aside from just looking at the spatial distribution, if we look at the cloud levels, we used the cloud level data, so the below cloud top data and the above cloud top data. On the right, the box plots are showing that the below cloud top data has more ice, and that they're smaller and more numerous ice particles in the north. So that's sort of just a basic overview of what we're seeing. And on the lower left, if we actually differentiate the temperatures more, we see that with colder temperatures, the ice effective diameters are actually relatively larger than the relatively warmer temperatures for both the below cloud top and as well as the above cloud base legs, even if I'm not showing the ACB mixed phase values here. Yeah, so one of the things that like Paquita mentioned is how are these mixed phase clouds sort of related to the precipitation that we're seeing below cloud base. So just a sort of, we're just sort of starting and exploring. So this is just sort of preliminary. What we just did was we looked at the distance from the shore. So the distance of the data from the smallest distance between the data to the shore, and just plotted all the data for the mixed phase cases, and just looked at precipitation and at the ice mass fraction for particles greater than 60 micrometers from the 2DS. And we see that at the min-out, which is on the left, that the ice mass fraction is like large, while farther away from the shore at min-out, it's almost like 0. And then if we contrast that to the higher levels of the cloud, which is the BCB level on the right, so the smaller panel on the right, it's showing the same thing, the ice mass fraction for particles greater than 60 microns out of cloud. It's showing actually that the ice mass fraction is increasing farther away from the shore, below cloud base, while closer to the shore, it seems to be the ice mass fraction is much lower at BCP than it is at min-out. So we're wondering, is closer to the coast, is it possible that for these cases that we're looking at, which actually we're finding is not really, may not characterize the whole distance, but just specific areas where there were more samples, the super cooled liquid droplets may actually be becoming ice closer to the surface, and away from the shore, they're actually melting. So as a sort of first look at how to see this, we also plotted the temperatures for each of these 100-kilometer distance bins from the shore. And we see that, consistent with what Paquita showed of the phase diagram that you showed earlier, that the 0 line increases going away from the shore, and that in terms of our understanding of why we see a lot of ice at min-out until 200 kilometers, it's possible, that is possible because it shows that the 0 degree line is sort of very, very low, and it's lower than the level of BCB. And yeah, so that's sort of insightful and interesting. Our sort of next steps is to try to understand, so this is a plot of the distribution. So this is not cumulative distribution, but just a distribution per cloud phase for both the liquid and the mixed phase, since we don't have much ice phase, and we didn't look at it for this figure. But we see here that there's sort of a bimodal distribution for a mixed phase, where one's at -15 and one's at 5, and we want to see the 2DS imagery and sort of see if there are some correlations between the images and the data that occurs at the higher or the lower temperature ranges. And also we would look more at the BCB and min-out legs, like pairing them to see like if this makes sense about snow actually melting farther offshore, and then if like becoming more ice closer to the shore. Yeah, so yeah, basically that's it. Thanks for listening.